practice?
Practice was good. We had a good film session and not a whole lot of, on-court stuff other than kind of some strategic drill work and some light shooting, and but a lot of good stuff. I think it's giving us some momentum here to be at home for the whole week and be rested and having good practice sessions every day, whether they're heavy or light. They're all very helpful.
Was Jonathan able to do anything more?
Yeah, he did 3-on-3 before practice, and that went well. And then he took part in all of practice. Tomorrow he will scrimmage. He won't play in the game tomorrow, but he will take part in a 5-on-5 scrimmage tomorrow evening before our game, and that'll give us a good gauge for where he is.
I was going to say, what's the next scrimmage? Obviously, is the step that into playing. How much do you need to see of that before everybody feels comfortable?
Yeah, Rick will determine that, watching the scrimmage tomorrow, and he'll talk to JK and see how he feels, and the two of them will make that decision.
How's Draymond doing? Does he have a practice at all?
He practiced. He said he's feeling better. We'll list him as questionable for tomorrow, but he's definitely trending upward.
And yesterday, did you guys come out mostly unscathed injury-wise?
I'm sorry?
Yesterday, did you guys come out mostly unscathed injury-wise?
From last night?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you guys went 7 with Houston last year. You see Houston for the first time tomorrow. What stands out about that matchup in the postseason? What are you looking for tomorrow?
We actually went 12 with Houston last year. I mean, I don't know if any two teams have played each other 12 times in one season since the 60s when there were, 8 teams in the league. Raymond should look that up. If
we actually looked it up last year. There were a couple of teams that have done it over the course of the years, but it's been a while.
Okay. Good enough. I mean, not exact, but at least he's, starting to work. So glad about that. But yeah, I don't think I've ever been in a situation in my 40 years in the league, not quite 37, where two teams played each other 12 times. But that's so we couldn't be more familiar with them, and vice versa. Obviously, the difference is you had Kevin Durant, things change, and so they are an incredible team this year. Ime's done a great job there the last couple of years, just kind of building an identity, the size, the physicality, the defense, and what they've added this year obviously is kind of picking up off that 7-game series we had where they just pummeled us on the glass. Very obvious in the offseason. They said that's going to be part of our identity. We're going to play 2 bigs. We're going to rebound everything. And they're getting over 40% of their missed shots on offensive rebounds, which is a stunning number. So even without Kevin, they're just going to be a huge, literally and figuratively, challenge for us.
Their team looks quite different than it did last playoffs for a number of reasons, but just what do you make of how their roster is built with the ability to play 3 or 4 or 7-footers at one time, not really having a traditional point guard? In the age where we haven't really seen anything like that.
Well, I think this is obviously a function of what they saw in the playoffs last year, playing Şengün and Adams, and how effective that was, how much it can impact the game, and losing Fred, to the injury for the year. So they really pivoted to just a massive lineup, playing Thompson, as a lead guard at times, and Kevin obviously on the wing. I think in general the league is going bigger again. The trend is now to start to play bigger lineups and 2 bigs. The difference between now and the 80s when everyone was playing 2 bigs is that teams are doing that and playing fast and shooting threes. Houston's probably the exception in some ways. I mean, I think they're last in the league in 3-point attempts, but the overall trend towards playing bigger in the league is something that's real, and it's Houston is taking it to an extreme.
On that note, almost a quarter of the way into the season, on pace, a lot of size, you're saying, what are sort of the challenges, team planning, defensive game plans to sort of match those trends?
Well, for us, it's the Draymond question of, do we start him at the 4 or the 5? Last night we started Quinten at the 5, and he looked really good. And we've had some games this year where we've started Quinten and Draymond together. For a while we lost our rhythm there, so we went small. But going small for us means Draymond at the 5, and it's a way for us to kind of rediscover our identity. But we're under no illusions that we're going to be able to go deep in the playoffs playing small all the time. It has to be a threat, but not something we're counting on over the course of 48 minutes. So we have to decide how we're going to approach each game. Lineup combination-wise, QP and Al and Trayce are all going to factor into that in a big way.
Steve, how hard is it to play small and be competitive at a high level when like you mentioned, the league seems to be going bigger?
Well, we beat Houston last year in this exact scenario you're talking about. Took 7 games, but we started small with Draymond at the 5. It was a huge challenge, but our guys stepped up to it. And but as you said, the trend is really spreading. Portland, it's not just playing 2 bigs when we're talking about the side. In Portland, it's size, positional size. Size at every spot, and Portland's different. They've got Klingon, but they're really big, at the guard spots and switch everything. And so you're seeing more and more teams doing that, and putting just a lot of size at different spots. And that's not something we can match. We're just, with Steph and Draymond being so important to us, we are going to be positionally small at those 2 spots. So it's up to us to find the right combinations around them to make sure we can still play our game, find our rhythm, connect the game at both ends, and still compete, in the paint.
You guys haven't rebounded well most of the season, but last night you out-rebounded a big team. What was the key to that?
I think just the offensive execution led to really good defensive balance. We only had 10 turnovers. 3 of them were in the last couple minutes, I think, with the game already decided. And that's what I mean when I say connect the game. If you're not taking care of the ball, you're vulnerable in transition, but also on the offensive glass because everything is scattered. And so, you have to be sharp with your rotations and your box outs, but you have to be sharp with the ball as well.
And when you go back and look at that first quarter, I'm not sure you did or not, but
which fourth quarter?
The first quarter last night.
Oh, the first quarter, yeah.
That was
no, I did.
What you wanted. What did you see, and what changes did it force?
Well, we actually got good shots to start the game. That's why I didn't take the timeout when it was 11-0. I think we were 0 for 6, but I think we got 4 or 5 really good looks, so we were executing. But what I saw as that first quarter went on was a lack of focus defensively in terms of knowing the game plan, trying to take out George and Markkanen and really be focused on them. And we let George get 4 open threes in the first quarter. So that was the main problem. We just didn't have that sense of desperation that you have to have when you're trying to dig your way out of a 3-game losing streak. So that's what changed. I thought top of the second, Pat and Will came in, the energy changed, the ball was flying up the floor, spacing was good, started to feel good about ourselves as the shots went in, and that improved our defense too.
Brandon sat that whole second quarter. What have you made of his season so far?
Brandon is a really, really good player, and he is at his best when the ball's moving and he's creating that flow. When he gets in trouble, and I've talked to him about this, it's when he's trying to do too much. We saw the same thing last year, early in the year. He wants so badly to be great. He's trying to create plays on his own when all he has to do is be himself and swing the ball and shoot the ball when he's open, and when he does those things, he's brilliant. I mean, you see the rebounding, you see the intelligence, the connection. So I would say, 19 games in, he knows, because I've asked him these same things that I'm telling you. He knows what he has to do to be the best version of himself, and he just has to focus on those things.
How was practice today?
Practice was great. We got in not too long. Watched a lot of film from yesterday, some of the things that went well, some of the things we can improve on, and obviously a big focus on Houston tomorrow.
Houston's obviously a really big team. They're going to need your size tomorrow. What are you sort of expecting tomorrow?
Just a brawl. They got a lot of big bodies out there, so me, Trayce, Draymond, I don't know what L's status is, but we got to be ready. Ready to be in there in the mix, box out, rebound, and then the guards, they got to help us all night, crash down and get these rebounds.
When you're expecting a brawl, is there a different type of mental preparation that goes into something like that?
Probably get an extra hour of sleep tonight, try to get the body ready. For rest, it's what is it now, game 20, so almost 1/4 down, so it's still early season, but yeah, it's going to be a fight.
What were some of the things that you mentioned on film today that you guys are hoping to clean up from last night?
Offensively, we actually saw a lot of good things last night. I thought we spaced the floor pretty well. We're getting better. We've been working a lot on some of the spacing concepts, that being, the dunker, how to move within the dunker, how to move in transition. I think all year we've been pretty good in transition offensively, actually. It's more been about creating transition opportunities. But overall, it was mainly these concepts within the flow of the offense. Like modern basketball is really not a lot of set plays anymore, but you just got to be able to play basketball, and we did a pretty good job of that yesterday, and we try to build on that.
What did you learn, or what experiences did you draw from playing Houston in the playoffs last year, the first playoff series?
I mean, it was, a super physical series. Like the way they played Steph, they set the tone early, and we adapted, and we did do a really good job of that, especially going lead into Game 7, and we pulled it out, and it was a lot different than the regular season. Also, for me, it was my first playoff experience. Obviously, they have a lot of size, and at some points I definitely struggled, but I think I learned from it a lot. That me personally, I'm not where I need to be. I want to be, and as a team, I think it was a great first test. Obviously, the playoffs didn't end up in the way we wanted to, but overall, it was a great learning experience.
Hey, Quinten, Steve was saying last night there was, obviously we all saw that first quarter, there were a lot of defensive lapses. How important is it that you guys correct, I guess what we can call game plan, discipline, knowing the personnel you're on the floor with? How does that play a factor in, whether you guys win or lose in the success of the team?
It's just all about having accountability that goes from number 1 on the roster to number 15. Before the game, you agree upon a game plan, and everybody has to be held accountable. And Steve had he was on our somewhere in the first quarter, and we deserved it, where we just didn't follow the game plan. People lost their assignments, but it's never one individual. It's always as a group, and thought especially at the start of the second we really picked it up, and we never let it go from there.
What's been the difference in games when the offense is flowing, like in that second and third quarter in the Jazz game, versus games where it's sort of more stagnant and things aren't working?
Yeah, I think when the offense is flowing, it also means we take care of the ball. When we take care of the ball, we take away transition from the opponent. And when you get in a flow like that, when you're playing in transition, when you're getting stops, it's so much easier. So it's all intertwined. When your defense is good, your offense improves. When your offense is good, your defense improves. So playing good offense, taking care of the ball, getting a shot on goal every time, it just makes it so much easier to defend, and vice versa. When you're guarding well and you're creating turnovers for the other team, it makes your offense easier.
Quinten, how do you decide, or if you decide, whether it's based on personnel on the floor with you or on the other team, when to work the perimeter for your shot or when to go inside a little bit?
I mean, that's honestly still something I'm figuring out myself. Obviously, I know what's expected out of me, but with every lineup, it's a little different. And when to cut, when to play the dunker, the baseline, when to space the perimeter. But in general, because we played with Jimmy, we played with Draymond, who those guys are ball dominant and they create a lot of action. My value lays as a floor spacer, and that's where, especially last year, I had a lot of success late in the season by just opening the floor for these guys. But then in a game like yesterday, when Draymond is out and my role changes a little bit, I'm involved a little more, playing in the pocket, playing pick and roll, making decisions out of there. So it changes per game, and for me, it's just figuring out what's most valuable to the team and play that role as best as I can. Okay. Thank you, guys.
How was practice today?
It was good. I mean, just getting back out there. We're on a long trip, so it was good to be able to get back out on the practice court and go over some things that we know we need to work on to get ready for the upcoming trips and games.
How cool was it yesterday to swap Trayce with Walter and sort of, share that camaraderie on the NBA court?
Yeah, it was really cool. I mean, me and him, we spent a lot of hours in the gym together at Florida just trying to get to this point. So to see both of us living out our dreams is special.
Has he gotten his ring yet?
He did. Yep, he got his.
Hey, Will, game changed last night when you and Pat kind of came in. What was the focus and what you guys want to try and do when you did come in?
Just bring energy. We know we started off the game a little slower than we wanted to, so for us, we knew we had to come in and bring a little spark off the bench, providing energy on both sides of the court, and just making everything flow.
And Steve kind of mentioned that the first half there were some lapses in game plan discipline. How crucial is it to turn that around to try and win a game?
Yeah, it's important. I mean, those little lapses can affect you in a lot of ways, and we're trying to do a lot of things to help us win, and those margins and areas like that can help you win or lose a game. So, I mean, we knew we had to come in and lock in a little more to get the job done.
You were a plus 29 on the plus-minus stat. What were you sort of doing to, like you guys made runs when you were in the game? What was sort of happening there?
Yeah, I was just going out there and trying to impact the game, making the right reads on offense, making sure I was cutting, if the shots were there, taking the right shots, on defense, communicating, moving, being in the right spots on defense, and just trying to make everything flow so we could get our groove back.
We obviously haven't seen Jonathan out there in a little bit. How does he look from what you see?
Yeah, he's looking good. I mean, we're starting to see him get back on the court a lot more, working out and stuff like that. You can tell he's getting his bounce back and stuff like that. So it's good to see him progress, because I know he's been in there needed treatment and rehabbing a lot lately.
Did you watch the playoff series Golden State and Houston last year?
I did.
What did you see?
It's a physical team, physical series for sure. A lot of going back and forth, and both teams want to win at a high level. So it's definitely good competition. So that's definitely a game that you look forward to.
You're looking forward to tomorrow?
For sure. I mean, look forward to every game, being able to play in the NBA, for sure.